It is an art, choosing gladiators. You have something in you. Rage. Never let it go. It will carry you to greatness.
Hello everybody, I'm Nikki Novak and welcome to Fandango's big ticket interview, and we have a very big movie, one that I've been anticipating, and that is Gladiator II, and welcome to the cast. Thank you so much for your time. How are you doing today?
You gotta get some energy, you know? Gee whiz.
Okay, so I wanted to kick things off. I have such reverence for Ridley Scott. He's one of my favorite directors, but also probably my favorite director ever to talk to. And one of the reasons for that is because he's hilarious. He can be intimidating, but he is incredibly funny. So I know that he has pearls of wisdom, but I want to ask anybody to jump in. One of your favorite Ridley one-liners that he said on set, whether it was poignant, funny, whatever it was.
Feels like every day he'd come up to you and say, I'm gonna give you the best off-camera action you've ever seen. Meaning no matter what scene we were filming and no matter where the camera was pointing, all of the action, all the fights were still happening every time.
Yeah.
Oh my God, were they really? Yeah. Camera ops were dressed up and yeah.
Or if he would ask to go for another take, he'd go, you kidding?
I like
it's not so much what he says, it's more like how he does it. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of...
Feel free to do it as Ridley.
Yeah, that's good.
Ridley, I'm going to quote him, he said, I gave Denzel a gold-plated chariot for this film. How did he present this to you, or present this idea to you, or did it just show up, and did you know that it was actually gold-plated?
I didn't know. I didn't know he gave it to me. I surely didn't take it with me. I would have.
You should have.
I will now.
But going along those lines, I heard you say in a Q&A, and it was a great quote, that you put on the robes, you put on the rings, and you went crazy. So the fact that this genius sort of gave you this playground to work with, how did you feel as an actor stepping on set? Because this feels like one of my favorite performances of yours.
Oh, thank you. He, he had, what, 12, 15 cameras everywhere. And in most of the scenes, especially when we were up there, they gave us plenty of room. So you felt, you didn't, I guess there were cameras up there sometime, but they were at a distance and you felt free to watch him get...
watch me just roll around and get beaten up. Yeah.
But it is one of those films where you can put, the theatrics are welcome, and I know that was part of his direction. Even you said that, Fred, that he would be like the phrase "go big or go home" should be next to a photo of this film. So I'll just go back to you. Did you feel that license to just, because it felt to me on a visceral level watching it, I'm like, Denzel's having the time of his life with this role.
That's what people have been saying, but again, I saw the film by myself.
Okay.
And that's not fun, because all you're looking at is what's wrong. You know, it's like, oh, that's all. And I haven't seen the finished film, and I haven't seen it with an audience.
Do you criticize yourself? There's no way.
Every actor. Are you kidding me? Connie?
I don't even watch my own films, so there you are.
Will you watch it? Will you watch this? And
I will at the world premiere.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go to you, Paul. Prior to this film, it's my understanding that you had never done a true action scene before. You had done maybe one fight scene, but you were like a moth to a flame. In the sense that it felt like the physicality of it. I know you were a rugby player, but you fully embraced it. Can you break down for me? Obviously, it's Gladiator. There's going to be epic fight scenes. The fight with the gargoyle, the monkey, whatever that was, that creature. How the heck did you shoot that?
people keep calling these mutant monkeys, and I think it's unfair to. I think one of them had alopecia, as Ridley calls it. But that was an incredible day. That was actually mine and Denzel's first day on set. But it was these incredible stuntmen on these kind of mini crutches. So they were rolling around in like, whatever it is, 110-degree heat. And they had kind of worked for weeks and weeks to kind of simulate the movement of the baboon so that it would be easier to CG it. But that was a pretty big, Ridley was a big fan of the biting of the baboon. Like you could hear him kind of audibly laughing after each take, because Ridley, as you said, he's got a wicked sense of humor, and it's very specific that he kind of informs his films with.
Yeah. How do you compare fighting the baboon to fighting Pedro Pascal?
All of them come with their own challenges that you need to overcome them with. But Pedro's got this amazing thing where he can just like, he can turn it on, because the Pedro that the world knows and loves is the Pedro that you meet and you know and love. But then when it comes to fight time, he turns it on. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of turning it on, in the trailer, you have some pretty epic sword skills. There's like the toss and the catch.
The toss and the catch.
The double.
Yeah.
And then you had what is called the double clothesline. That was one of your big
double clothesline off the top rope of the That was
I love that story, by the way. If you don't mind telling it,
Which
where
one?
Ridley was like, "I know what you're."
I know what you're doing. Yeah. So Ridley's notorious for, you get 1-2 takes max, and I kind of caught wind of this, and I'm sure I can speak for us all. It's like, actually, I always would like generally like one more, because you never feel like you finished something, or speaking for myself, that's what it feels like. But once we got to the second week, say, I kind of realized that if the second take was kind of had gone all right, I would ask the first AD to do a series, which is basically you would just, without cutting, you go back to the start of the scene and go again. And I thought that I was getting away with this for a couple of weeks, and Ridley was marshalling me over to the next scene, and he puts his hand over my shoulder and he goes, "By the way, this whole series thing, I know what you're doing." But yeah, I was grateful that he'd let me away with it for a little while.
Thank you for indulging me.
Oh, no problem.
Story again. But what was your best skill, would you say, with the sword? What were you the most proud of, stunt that you pulled off?
I think what I like about Lucius as a fighter is that he's not actually technically that gifted. I just think he's a dog. Like, I think he just grits his teeth and finds a way to win, because we were fighting with some big boys. Like, some of those stunt men were like ex-UFC fighters. So I was like, realistically, if it comes down to like who's going to be able to throw you the furthest, they'd win. So you're trying to find another avenue of...
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's just mentally, I think he's pretty robust.
Yeah, you know you're not going to be the toughest on set, so you're going to be the craftiest.
You're craftiest and whatever it takes to win, yeah.
Connie, if somebody had told you in the year 2000, in 24 years, you were going to be playing this character again in a sequel, what would you have thought? And what was the biggest moment of elation for you coming back during filming of this?
Definitely walking into the arena. It was so potent and surreal all at once. And I certainly would not have thought that would happen 25 years ago, that 25 years later I would be doing that role again. The experience of walking back into that story felt like an insane gift, like the most generous gift ever. I just have loved every second of revisiting that whole world and working with Ridley again.
I don't think people realize what a strategist your character is, because she's very quiet about it. So in developing the character this time around, was that something you were thinking about?
Well, you know, in the Roman times, women had absolutely zero power. But as I know from personal experience, you know, it really isn't about whatever people think is power. The power lies in you. And you get to choose how you relate to whoever thinks they have more power than you. And it's in holding that truth that you retain the power no matter what.
Wow, beautiful, beautifully said.
Why didn't you tell me that before I made the movie? Was it, because you were there, is it much bigger now? Is Rome bigger than it was 25 years ago?
No, it's not bigger. It's just seedier and more extreme and more sad. You really feel how nuanced Ridley and Arthur's work is in creating a Rome that has lost everything to like a very tiny elite, and everyone else has nothing. And you sense that sort of decline in the whole area. Like, he never placed homeless people or darkened the buildings with soot in the first one. In the first one, everything was very sunny and limestoney and coppery green, beautiful. And then in this one, you had like the soot, you had like the little fires in the streets, you had the homeless people sitting in every corner. He's just a very profound thinker when it comes to creating these images, and maybe people will just like pass right over it in the film and wait for the next big bang. But really what I felt immediately when I was walking onto set was, oh yeah, this is what we've been through for 20 years now.
Wow,
That's what's
you felt
happened
the
to us as
difference.
a community. Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's his attention to detail. As much as it is the spectacle,
Absolutely.
it's Ridley's attention to detail that really makes the difference, hence the gold-plated chariot. Fred, I often don't like villains because they're just mustache twirlers. But you are so funny. And that's one thing that's very important to Ridley, he's told me this before, is comedy in his films, as dramatic as they are, is so important. And you brought so much humor to with your character. I want to ask, first of all, how did you come up with the laugh?
Oh, I think it comes from the person. It comes from the preparation and then the work of being with everybody and building it. But I think that, I mean, what you're saying about Ridley is so true. He's so funny, and I think you can hide a lot of truth in comedy. There's a deliciousness to them, and but there's also a delight that they derive from the violence, which is it makes the whole thing more acceptable because it's all entertainment. So I think it's important that they're partially funny. Ridley and I early on talked about Beavis and Butthead.
I love that you brought that.
As far away as a reference as it may seem, I think it was actually there was a part of it that was connected to the mission.
So which one were you?
We didn't break it up like that. We more just talked about the interplay, the laughter, the kind of the dynamic of how surprising these rulers could be. That you don't know what ground you stand on with them.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
And that's what's fun about it. Obviously, you and Joseph are meant to be twins, and there's obviously a lot of bonding that you did together and discussions you had, but I'm wondering, did you keep secrets from each other, and did you keep a secret from him?
Yeah, I think...
That you want to reveal?
I think acting is a lot I think it's deep connection and total secrets at the same time a lot of the time. I feel that that part was more unsaid with Joe, where I feel there was some stuff we built together, and then we never even had to talk about the kind of independent secret side of it, but it certainly comes out. I feel like when you're working with all of these great actors, you feel all these secrets kind of traveling in the airwaves and all that.
Can you talk about the fact that Ridley did encourage you to sort of go out of your comfort zone and go bigger than maybe you had gone before in some ways with your character?
I think it's part of the environment of filming. Rome is so overflowing, as Connie was talking about, with such truth, and the spectacle is just so overwhelming that there's no other choice than, you can't hide from it, so you have to match it and really reckon with it. I think there's no other route in the way that he's built that environment.
What, Caracalla, is that the correct pronunciation of your character?
Caracalla.
Caracalla. Yeah. I see the way he behaved in public, and it made me wonder what he was doing behind closed doors. What sort of life did you create for him? What kind of life did he have? Aside from what we see in the arena. Why are you smiling?
I was just thinking about the monkey.
Yeah. A lot of time with Dondas, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You had a literal monkey on your back.
Truly. While Paul was fight training, I was monkey training.
Paul, just sort of the magnitude of all of this. Playing not just a gladiator, but the gladiator. Kind of Connie was talking a little bit about walking into that arena the first time. What was that emotion like for you, and how did you sort of own it and just put everything to the side?
I think the process of making any film, I feel like I haven't made a huge amount, but it always feels like a miracle to me that a film is ever getting made. Like when you start to unpack how you get actors to set, how you finish a script, how you do all of this, and this is multiplied by about 100% when you walk out and you see a crew of 1,000 strong people building this role, like building Rome. So the magnitude and the feeling of that is one of great honor and respect to the filmmaking process. And then you've got to go to work, because I think this whole thing about pressure and legacy of first film versus second film, they are all things that are prescribed to film's art in time. That's so far away from where we're at now, at the precipice of this film being released, and it's not something that happened with the first film immediately. It's something that you need to, like if you look at a career like Denzel's or Ridley, it's like you build that narrative through time and great work. So for me, once we started the second film, it was just about going to work and making the best film possible, and whatever comes of that, comes of that.
Yeah, brick by brick.
Brick by brick, exactly.
And we are all in the hands of a genius, Ridley. So he made our job easy.
You got to reunite with him. It had been since 2007. So how was it? I mean, it's a very simple question, but how was it reuniting with him?
He left me alone. He left me to my own, just, you know. Maybe we developed a shorthand on American Gangster, I don't know, but needless to say, he had a few other things to be concerned about. And with, I don't know, like I said, 10, 12, 15 cameras, he was making it happen.
New experience. Was he doing that back when you did American Gangster?
It wasn't as big as this. Yeah, it was we didn't build Rome.
You talked about how this is the biggest film or biggest set you've ever been on.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's the most expensive film I've done. Yeah.
Did you love that playground?
Yeah, it was my money, so yeah.
As an actor, just having
absolutely. That's what I was asking you, Connie. Are there just as many buildings now as it was then, or is it more? Or does it feel like was this?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that I mean, the fort is not very big, right? So like the fort is like has a natural barrier around it, but I think he used it differently this time as well. But it was huge.
Yeah.
It was big. It felt big the first time. I didn't go to Morocco. I didn't see that, but I did go to when we were doing the first scene in the Gladiator I, and I rode into like an entire Roman garrison in the middle of a forest outside of London, and it just. And when I sort of like came out on the big battlefield, and it was enormous, and there were like 3,000 soldiers, like real soldiers fighting. It's just indescribable.
Yeah, I wish they could sell tickets and we could all attend, bear witness to it. Yeah. Going down the line real quick, not choosing Gladiator or Gladiator II, your favorite Ridley Scott film. Let's start with you.
Thelma and Louise.
I was going to say the exact same. Like I love all, like he's got How Long Is a Piece of String, but Thelma and Louise is one that probably my most rewatched of his films for sure.
Blade Runner. Yeah. By far, it's like amazing.
All of the above.
Yeah. I thought you were going to choose your own film.
Which one?
American Gangster.
Oh. American Gangster. No.
Real quick, just to end on, he is an artist. He went to art school. Mm-hmm. If there was a frame, the film is such a visual spectacle, it's so beautiful. If there was one single frame of this film that you could hang as art, what would it be?
One single frame?
Single frame from the film that you've seen.
That you can hang as art. Connie?
So I haven't seen the film.
You saw the first one.
Did see the first one. But I will tell you one thing.
Yeah.
He once drew for me on a paper how he was going to make the March into Rome look. Mm-hmm. That piece of paper I would have liked to have right now.
I have the best rap gift I've ever received off Ridley Scott, which is hand-drawn storyboards. He gave me 3 pages of his storyboards, which I can absolutely testify they are pieces of art, and I have them framed, and they're sitting in my house, and are absolutely my pride and joy. Because it's a real invitation into his mind. Like he's an all-time great director, but I think he's one of the greatest visual directors of all time, for sure.
Yeah, it's on that train of thought. My first conversation with him about the character was a visual conversation, because he had drawn Caracalla and Gaeta, and more than anything that we could talk about, because he really trusted actors to take the reins and do their job, what he showed me was this beautiful illustration that was so inspired of the two of them. And you could see how he visualized them was beyond how anyone else would think about them. So I feel like I took that piece of paper and you just run with it. And I'd like to hang that one up too.
You nailed the key word on the head with Ridley, trust. Mm-hmm. He creates an environment of trust that you feel like you can just fly and try anything and won't be judged for it or whatever.
Do you have one?
What?
A single image? Or at least an image that you took away?
You know, I've been blessed to do 2 films with Ridley and 5 with his brother. Mm-hmm. And one of the gifts Scott gave me were his entire storyboards. Man on Fire, Deja Vu, Unstoppable, and Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. I have everything he drew. a copy of it, not the original, but everything he drew. So that I cherish that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Wow. Well, I'm going to end there.
Yeah.
Thank you all very, very much. Congratulations on this extraordinary film. I think I've calmed down a little bit.
I see. Yeah, you want, you got water in, hydrate.
Hydrate. Appreciate you all. Thank you very much. And I want to remind you all that tickets for this epic film with these epic artists are on sale now at Fandango. Thanks for watching.